then we will get going. Looks like we're good. All right, we are live, so I'm gonna get this presentation started. All right. Everybody can see that, I assume?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a part two. I know that you guys weren't here last time, or Devin was, but this is the second part of it. If you haven't seen the first part of it, you can go to harrisonburgrei.com, and we have all the past meetups there. Well, not all of them, but we started doing the live stream stuff, and that just lives on YouTube. So you can find them embedded in that site, and you can, you can subscribe to our mailing list, et cetera, there. So definitely check that out. So if you didn't catch that, you can go back and watch it. We will be continuing with the part two of this series. Next meetup we're going to have in June 16th. We're going to have a guest speaker, Cassidy Burns. He has been looking into multifamily investing. He's going to do a live case study. He recently had a meetup in Bridgewater. I believe he's coming out of the Northern Virginia market. Chase has connected with him, but that should be a good one. So definitely join us then if you can. So what we're going to talk about in the part two of this series is making offers. So you can do on-market offers, you can do off-market offers. What you want to do with your due diligence, if you're going to do inspections, just verifying that your business plan is going to work for that property, and then figuring out funding the deal and going through the loan process, and finally closing on the deal. So on market process is typically with an agent, right? So if you were getting an agent, you'd want an agent, you want to prep them that you're an investor and make sure that they are investor friendly. This market's a little bit harder right now there's typically a lot of competition, and even on the more rundown properties, there's usually a little bit more competition. So keep that in mind when you're making offers on places is that the asking price is usually a starting point in the current market. So, but anyway, talk to an agent and figure out how they help investors, and if they help you do an analysis. If they don't, figure out maybe a spreadsheet or something or use bigger pockets to figure out a way to do analysis. But so after you do your analysis, based on your criteria, if you think it's a good property, there'll be three things that happen once you make an offer. The seller will either reject or not respond to the offer if it's too low. The seller may counter with an offer that works for them on their own terms. Sometimes you go in the middle at some point. They might come down a little bit and then you come up a little bit, et cetera. It's a bit of a dance. Or the seller would just simply accept the offer. So what I'm seeing right now with on-market investing deals, particularly student housing in this area, they are typically, I will see, let's give Hunter's Ridge for example. I will see a place that cash flows well, go under contract pretty quickly. It could be that an investor will win at asking price if it's cash, no contingencies. If you are not doing cash and no contingencies, then you may need to be willing to pay a little bit more than asking price. In that circumstance, sometimes you can, there's a couple different ways depending on the circumstance. You may still waive the inspection. Sometimes people are thinking that it's a bit about, you calculate into the risk. Like, so there's an old HVAC system. There is the roof looks like it's in good condition, or the roof looks like it needs to be replaced. Okay, those things might be $15,000. Those things might be $20,000 of risk. We might think about waiving the home inspection, knowing that those things could be an issue. There could also be other things that are an issue. So if you're ready for that kind of market, that's the market we're in. If you don't want to waive the home inspection, another thing you can do is do a home inspection with right to terminate, where you basically, it's pass fail. So you get a home inspection, and you still are able to get out of the contract, but you can't ask for any repairs. Escalation clauses are big. So going above asking price up to whatever you're comfortable as your max. Sometimes it makes sense to then also be willing to pay above appraised value if the appraisal comes back low. One strategy there could be is if you are making an offer $5,000 above asking price, that you would be willing to pay $5,000 above appraised value, because likely the agent has made suggestions about what the market value is of the house, and usually that's close to asking or the list price. So not to get too into the weeds, but that's some of the strategy that you can go into if you're making offers in this competitive market. After both parties have accepted and signed the offer, the contract's officially ratified. A lot of the things will stem off of a ratified contract. So there's things like the inspection time frame. So you might have negotiated 2 weeks and that will all start when the contract is ratified. The tip here that is written in is that the offers are likely. You might make a lot of offers if you have very strict criteria, especially in this kind of market where it is more competitive. So again, talk to your agent, talk to an agent that you want to work with, and make sure that they're understanding that this is kind of where you're at. An agent that has a lot of experience in the market might also be able to tell you up front, this is what I'm seeing with this type of property. Likely this will work, this will not work. This is how you can win it if you want to win it, etc. So keep that in mind. If you're going off market, one thing that I have seen some people do, Chris, this might be something you want to take note of. I have seen wholesalers before use the Virginia Realtors contract. That could get you into a little bit of trouble. So definitely have your own contract that you might want to have verified with an attorney. So with wholesaling, you want to make sure that it has, assignability in it. You want to make sure that the terms are good for you in that kind of situation. Once you complete the contract, you present your offer to the seller. If both parties agree, then again, you are officially ratified. That means that all parties have signed and initialed any changes, and that gets delivered to all parties. That means it's ratified. You can sometimes have a shorter contract if it's an off-market deal. That can make it more attractive and less intimidating to the seller. And it still can give you a lot of protection. But again, always have an attorney review your contracts prior to using them. Due diligence. So you have a property under contract. You probably have some sort of due diligence period in it. There, again, are a few different ways of skinning that cat. Speaking as a realtor, there are the standard home inspection contingency does allow you to terminate the contract as long as you can provide evidence of having a home inspection. There are other items. There's other contracts or other ways you can do that. You can also do an inspection with right to terminate, or you can just put a study period into the contract. A study period could be helpful. That would allow you to terminate for any reason. You may, for example, want to figure out, you want to make sure that X, Y, Z happens or is viable. Like if you want to do an Airbnb or if you want to check zoning, that kind of stuff. You want to make sure that those things are good before you pay for a home inspection. For example, you could maybe have a longer study period and check some of those things out before you move forward, if you're wanting to make sure you have that contract secured first and you're not worried about competition. Some inspections could be Home inspections, obviously, I would have some recommendations of people to use there. You could do a radon inspection. Now, if you're not familiar with radon, that's basically something that would be most concerning in a basement. The more of a walkout basement it is, the less of a concern it is. If it's a crawl space, if it's a slab, it's likely not a concern. But obviously, you are welcome to do your due diligence as you see fit. If it's a slab foundation, or if the floor is a slab in the basement, it's going to be about a $1,200 fix to use a radon system. So it's not a crazy expense. If it is for some reason, if there is a crawl space involved and a test positive for radon, which is very rare, then that can be a little bit more expensive because you have to encapsulate the crawl space and make sure that it is sealed so they can suck the air out of it. You can pull health department records on the property for the well and the septic to make sure that everything is above bar there. There's even septic inspections that you can do that can be as involved as digging up the septic system. I've heard some funny stories about in more rural areas, people finding things like school buses as the septic tank or some sort of van. So it can be a good idea to make sure that those things are in working order. Septic systems can be expensive, especially if you can't get them perked to be conventional going forward. Engineered septic systems are more expensive. Wells can be expensive as well to dig. Obviously, one of the things that you can look into with a well is to get the water tested to make sure it doesn't have any coliform bacteria in it. If it does, it's usually meaning that you need to put a UV light filter in there, and that's usually about $1,000, give or take, dollars. Does anybody else have any good inspections they would suggest or they've done on top of these? There are
at all.
Go ahead.
I said no experience at all.
There are some people that are in the rule of thought that, especially if you're doing a regular, if you're going to do a study period, there's kind of a couple different angles. You can go in it with a general inspector, your typical home inspector. They're going to be a generalist. If any big systems look questionable, they're going to tell you to get a specialist. So an HVAC, a chimney, flue, foundation, etc. So you might circumvent some of that, especially as you get more experience. You might be able to see, well, look, this chimney has got a horizontal crack on it. The foundation has a horizontal crack on it, and it's basically it's bending, bowing out. That doesn't make any. That's not a good example with my hands, but it's bowing out. That means that there's hydrological pressure pushing into the foundation wall, and it's a problem. If it were me at that situation, I might just hire a structural engineer to come look at it as opposed to getting a general home inspector. Or if you can do the math on a roof, if it was built 20 years ago, for example, you may look at the roof and say that hasn't been replaced, so that's probably got 5 years left on it. You can look in the attic to see if it's got staining, etc. HVAC systems, you can often figure out the date on them as well. So some of those bigger ticket items, you can kind of in a walkthrough figure out what is going to be the likely bigger ticket items, and then maybe just hire specialists to look at them as opposed to doing a general home inspection. Now, I've been doing this for a while, but I'm not a home inspector, and they know way more than me. So I still find great value in a home inspection as a generalist. But sometimes when it's competitive, it's harder to get all those things. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, so verify the zoning. The county regulations will work for what projects you're doing. So again, Airbnb, if you're wanting to do Airbnb in the city, for example, it's got to be a primary residency. If you're doing Airbnb in the county, if it's in a town, then you might want to check with the town to make sure you're good with the zoning and just their regulations, because those can change. Or you might want to consider the HOA. If it's an HOA community, make sure that they allow short-term rentals, things like that. So that can be another thing you want to do in your due diligence period. You can see if there's any code violations in the property. That can be done again through a home inspection. Would be probably the best way to make sure that's being done correctly or everything's correct. And
Ty,
then,
I got a question.
yeah.
How much on average does it cost for someone to hire a home inspector for like a walkthrough?
It's a good question. It depends on the square footage, typically. And it depends on if you're doing any extra home inspections. So if you get a radon tests are going to be an extra 125, 150. So you could budget $500 pretty safely, and that should get you most of what you want. But if it's a huge house, then it might cost more.
Is it smart? Oh, is it smart to go with the home inspector or just leave them alone, let them do their job?
Yeah, if you can make it to the home inspection, I think it's great. I think you learn a lot from being in the home inspection. I think ultimately as an investor, you probably want to understand houses like it's the back of your hand, right? Mm-hmm. So I think every time you go and learn new things about a house with a home inspection, that's going to be of benefit for you. That's almost worth the cost of the inspection itself. Mm. So yeah, absolutely be there if you can. Thing we didn't talk about either was lead-based paint inspections. People typically don't do them, but if it was built prior to 1978, it could be an issue. And that's basically usually taken care of by painting over the lead-based paint, and that kind of seals it. Nobody's going to probably gut the house and take out all the drywall or plaster to make sure that there's no lead-based paint remaining. So typically just assume it has it if it was built prior to 1978, and then just take care of any chipping paint and keep it painted. Yeah. You might run into some extra cost if you do want to have specialists come out. Some specialists won't just come out for an estimate. They will want to charge. I think most roofing companies will want some sort of payment for an estimate, and then they will apply it to the job if they get it. So keep that in mind as well. It could be good to buffer a little bit more. Again, you might be able to run up the $500 a different way by hiring specialists to come check out the major systems. So I think it's all about your comfort, your level of comfort. If you're not very experienced, get a home inspection. And then if you are more experienced, then maybe you can start getting specialists. But definitely don't jump into that before you're ready. It never hurts to do extra inspections. Yeah, so here's another tip is that you can draft the study period basically to allow for you to terminate for any reason. So it's probably a good thing to have if you can negotiate that. You don't want to be stuck in a property that you don't actually want, even if it's not due to the property's condition. Like if it's due to the zoning or something like that, you want to be able to have a way out. All right, so getting into funding the deal, the loan process. If you have a heavily distressed property, it can be a lot more tricky to finance. If you have a FHA, VA, or USDA loan, that can be even more tricky. A conventional bank loan is good. Private money is good. Conventional can be not like cash. It can still cause some problems to finance really distressed properties. Hard money loans and then credit lines and cash are excellent ways of doing this. There are some products like there's I can't remember. It's like 203K, 203B or something. FHA, it's a rehab loan that can work. But what I'm finding in this market is probably not realistic to think that you'll be able to get a house with that type of financing, because there's usually investors or somebody else willing to take on the project in cash or whatever else is needed. But that's definitely something to look out for. Um, yeah. So just of note that there, even if the property, even if you're doing conventional loans, it can be really hard even with conventional. Like if there's things that aren't there, like I was in a property recently that it didn't have a toilet installed, it didn't have a kitchen. It wasn't on a well or septic, but those things probably would need to be there for them to close. So there's sometimes if it's not selling, they might have an offer they're willing to consider if there's a caveat for the buyer to install a hot plate or some kind of stove that allows for cooking and a toilet. So what you really want to do in this kind of circumstance, if you're looking to buy it with a loan, is get a good relationship with a smart, motivated lender. And just have them run through the property in much detail as you can, and tell them exactly what's wrong with it, what's going to be needed to be done. You don't want to. It's not like one of those things. Hide that from them, and then it will work out. It's more like you're going to spend $1,000 on an appraisal or inspections, and then find out you can't buy the property. So it's good to do the due diligence with your lender as well. So whenever you get a property under contract, you want to get that contract to the lender immediately to start processing everything. You're going to want to try to get your due diligence process started before you have the home inspection. Again, you can have, you're going to have to get some sort of appraisal done. And that's going to cost money unless it's a desktop appraisal. If the deal is really good, they may not need to actually have an appraiser come out. There's like an algorithm. There's computer programs now that will say, yes, you're good to go. It's more rare, so don't count on that. And then you might have some hard money and private lenders that might want to come out and see the project and see the site just to make sure things are okay. Yeah, after you get a satisfactory appraisal, you want to just make sure you stay in touch with the lender and make sure everything's going smoothly and on track for closing. You're probably going to get hounded for additional documentation. Just try to turn around. It often feels like nothing's happening. Give me all this information. Try to get them that information quickly, and just know that they're dealing with a lot of other projects as well, or a lot of different loans. If you have a little bit of a less of a distressed property, they're just cosmetic, you might be able to get an FHA loan, a USDA loan, a VA loan. FHA loans, the reason you would be doing some of these different loan processes is an FHA loan would be 3.5% down. Now, FHA can go anywhere where USDA is going to be a rural only type of loan program. That's actually 100% down or 100% financing, 0 down. And both of them are going to have more criteria that you're going to have to, any kind of peeling paint, cracked window panes, those kind of things can flag in an appraisal. An appraisal will kind of become a inspection in itself. And there may be things that have to be fixed. So if you're trying to do this kind of type of loan, you may want to talk through the event with the seller that things need to be taken care of to meet the appraisal's requirements. So either that's you fixing them or that's, the asking the seller to take care of them. Now the VA loans are, if you're a veteran, that only applies there. That's also 100% financing. Those can be pretty strict loan requirements as well, but they're typically very good loan terms. So veterans do love them. Conventional loans, again, they can be as little as 3% down with a home ready program. If you're not buying it to live in it, you're going to have to pay, I think 15 to 25%. The interest rate gets to be a lot better once you get to 25%. So just keep that in mind. They've changed it recently. I think that it can go down to 15%, but the loan's not going to be near as good, the interest rate. So the process from getting the contract to getting it closed with a loan is pretty much similar. Again, after the property is contracted under contract, you're going to want to send that stuff to the lender. Once you pass the due diligence period, you're going to want to have some sort of valuation again, which is the appraisal. And yeah, again, the appraiser will act as a bit of an inspector, and they'll be able to flag some deficiencies, no smoke detectors, missing handrails, that kind of stuff. So things that you'll need to take care of, or the seller will need to take care of. Then again, after everything is cleared with the appraisal, just make sure that everything's getting taken care of and things are moving towards settlement. Get the lender everything they need to get to closing. So now you've made it to the closing table. Congrats. You'll want to make sure that you have the funds either through a wire or a cashier's check. The settlement company will explain that to you in a little bit more detail. You'll need to sign all the loan documentation. You'll want to have all the utilities switched over to your name on the day of closing. And you'll probably want to do this a little bit early, just in case they need a little bit extra documentation. Any kind of loan is going to require insurance, so you need to make sure that's done prior to. Some other things to think about is title insurance. This is pretty big if you're looking at foreclosures or any kind of properties that have had judgments or those kind of liens against them. I highly recommend getting title insurance. It can be messy without it. Well, the point of title insurance is if there's any kind of clouds on the title, a lawyer will need to. Worst case, a lawyer will need to fight for those to be cleared. You could even lose the property. Title insurance covers you in that event. So when you're getting into the investment world and people, I've had cell phone bills. I've had other things that have come up as they've had judgments against them. You'll want to have all those things cleared because you don't want to have anybody using the house, the property they have as collateral, and then you get fronted that bill. So definitely consider title insurance on that. Anybody got any questions about the process?
Have a good lawyer.
Do you have any local ones you recommend?
Yeah. My brain's Showalter.
Yeah, Welby Showalter is a good real estate lawyer in town in Harrisonburg.
What's the first name?
Go ahead. Sorry, I missed that.
Oh, yes. I think he asked the name again. It was Welby Showalter. He's getting up there in age, so I don't know if he's going to be doing it much longer.
He's still doing it now.
Yeah.
and then there's David Nahm is over at Clark and Bradshaw, and Todd Ray is another good one. Those are some other good names to keep in mind for real estate. Other people will be able to do deeds. They may not specialize in real estate, like Clint Sellers as another local one. But if obviously reach out to me or to Chase and get our opinions if you do need one. But you saying something, Chris? Are you talking to somebody else?
It's after hours at the facility. My buddy was just asking me how much after was the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, no worries.
I told him I didn't know, but I'll just take it on the road. I got a hotspot.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that we've finished the formal part of it, but if people want to ask questions or whatever, that's the time we're at now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not in a rush.
So, Chris, you do wholesaling, right?
Yes, sir.
Where have you, in Harrisonburg or other places?
So I don't know if you heard in the beginning, I haven't done any deals or marketing so far. My plans to or the areas that I want to market to initially are definitely my backyard. So Harrisonburg, our our facility is in the heart of Elkton. I'm looking to do, reach out to some Elkton owners. I don't, as far as, the other areas, I don't have any good insight on, what spots I should be looking at. I know that I want to pull some lists in Harrisonburg and pull lists in Elkton, and then do some active marketing there too.
Of course, if you get your license or whatever for your business, you're probably going to concentrate all your efforts there.
Right now, I am, I'm in a position where I'm a young guy. I'm 21. I calculated my time. The time I have that's not sleeping or being at the facility, I have over 40 hours a week. I got about just around 40 hours a week. That's like, I've already accounted for sleep and work or facility time. I got over 40 hours that will be split between working out, cooking, and some real estate. I'm trying to do some real estate.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We had a really good wholesaler on not too long ago. I'm gonna get you that information. Just give me a minute. But that would definitely be a good one to look at. I mean, I think he's even offering. It's Kyle. I'm trying to remember what his.
He's at Charlottesville, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember his last
Kyle
name.
Miller.
Yeah. You familiar with him?
TJ told me that Brian worked for Kyle for a year, and then Brian is doing his own thing now. I reached out to Brian and he doesn't talk. He doesn't hit me back. So, like I've read like, yeah, he doesn't hit me back, but I'm not worried about that because I know how it is. He's busy. Yeah, whatever.
Well, check out. I know Kyle is offering some sort of master class or something on wholesaling, I believe. I mean, he's gonna want you to pay for it, but like, that could be something you might be interested in. I mean, he's doing a lot. And sorry, is it Tree?
Yes.
I feel like I'm butchering it. I'm sorry. Tree, he reaches out into Waynesboro sometimes, into Stanton. He doesn't usually come over to Harrisonburg. It's a little bit further out, but he'll get all the way down to Lynchburg and stuff as well. But he could be a good connection for sure if you're looking to learn that business. And I think he's, I mean, he's definitely successful at it. He's definitely done a lot. So
Yeah,
I subscribe to his email list, and he's got something like, something new every couple of weeks.
that's what's up. Currently, I'm paying a good amount of money for a mentorship that's basically teaching me, when I get on the phones, how to frame conversations, how to negotiate, do all that stuff. Basically, closing. It's the mentorship. It's called Closers Only, but it's with some guys out in Arizona. They're going crazy right now. They're on pace to do 7 million in wholesale fees this year. So they have a big operation, but those guys out there, they just really they take it to the next level when it comes to like scaling and like, what I'm saying, making hiring, I'm looking, I don't want to work for, actually not, I didn't mean to say I don't want to work, but right now I do want to learn. But I believe with this mentorship program, I'm gonna need the majority of what you need to succeed, and that's being able to actually talk to the sellers and actually get the property at a good price. I do need help with dispositions. I don't know any cash buyers. I've never done a transaction, open an escrow, go into a title company. I don't know any investor friendly title companies that they talk about on YouTube that you want.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm definitely going to look out to Kyle Miller because TJ told me about him. So
Yeah, he's a good local resource for sure. But it sounds like you got a good uh, connection there too.
I'm more than willing to do anything with anybody. Just putting that out there. Um, are you familiar with a guy named Zachary Keeps in Arizona?
No, I don't think so.
If you look him up on YouTube,
Chase might be.
he's a smart guy. He has like over 250 rental properties, but he talks about how nowadays he spends zero money on marketing. All of his deals are through word of mouth and referrals, and just building such a strong network and relationships with everybody. And always give. Take. You want to be able to give and receive. But that's what I'm looking to do for any of you guys here. So let me know how I can be of service in any way.
That's awesome. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Chris is onto it because it seems like the older I get, the more I realize that networking is the key to everything. Wholesaling to rental properties to other investments and stuff like that. It's who you know and who does this, who does that, and you can put people together, that sort of thing. You become valuable to a whole lot of people, and they start coming to you.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, not to brag about myself, I felt like I've kind of been a selfless person in my life. But when I went out to Arizona and just seeing how they operate and how they move, like they just move at a whole different pace when it comes to helping each other grow and networking. So, like I told the guy, I spoke to him at the event, and actually we went on a hike, like a big group. You guys familiar with Batch Leads? It's a software. Might not know it. Whatever. It was there's a bunch.
Chase probably would. He's a lot. You should know. I'm more of a real estate agent that likes investing, and Chase is more of an investor that's also a real estate agent. So he probably knows that stuff a lot better. You should meet Chase too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just gonna say the one of the founders of that company was on the mountain. So there's just like so many people in that area who are doing it. And I mean I told myself when I came back to Harrisonburg, I was gonna do whatever I could to try to, operate the same way that he does and just build that community. I don't know how it is, like I said, how people are around here, if people keep to themselves and have small little groups, but I definitely want to network with everybody, and just, like I said, bring value wherever I can and just make anything happen for anybody.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So if you're thinking of wholesaling, like in this area, me personally, I'm a buy and hold kind of guy, rental property, but I just don't see where you can do that much volume to make a living out of it. Maybe I'm wrong. Seems like you're talking about those guys from Arizona. Are they in like a big city or, like Phoenix or someplace like that?
Oh yeah, they are in some big areas.
Yeah. Well, see, they got opportunities there. Like if you
Yeah.
were up in Northern Virginia or Richmond, or down in Tidewater area or someplace like that where there's a lot of turnover and there's a lot of, there could be some distress or there's a lot of motivated sellers, put it that way.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it has some opportunities. We're up here, I don't see that many, and there's a lot of people chasing few things.
I agree and I disagree. I agree that there's definitely small numbers here, but I was speaking to a guy from the event. His name's Sean Terry. He's very, very successful. He was, put in my ear like you need to chase after a lot of those small markets because it's low competition. You can really shine, especially if you're good on the phones and you're really looking to solve somebody's problem and really being, a solutions provider and a friend to them. I don't know how many people were calling in Harrisonburg. I don't know how many people were calling in Waynesboro. I know I want to go virtual, but I do want to do some deals in my backyard to start.
Get your feet wet.
What do you do any wholesaling or anything like that?
To me?
Yeah.
Nope. Never did any.
Shoot. Do you guys know anybody who does creative finance?
What do you mean by that?
Like buying
Hard money?
properties, like subject to seller finance, doing deals creatively, using little to no money down.
There's a guy down in the Tidewater area, Chris Haskins, I think is his name. He's on YouTube. He does a lot of that stuff down there.
Okay.
He has videos and stuff where he's talking about the subject too.
Look, I'd recommend looking at our Evan Mayo guest speaker. He was doing some of that. We talked to some about that creative fundraising for deals. He fundraised a lot of money for various deals. Yeah, that'd be a good past person to listen to.
Oh yeah. Shoot. How's business going for you guys?
It's good. It's going crazy.
Going crazy?
Yeah, it's a wild market. I'm tired. I won't lie. Trey, what are you looking to get into? Like, you thinking like you want to have rentals, or do you have any kind of idea what you're looking at?
Yeah, so I'm a full-time designer. I just looked into investing in my part-time and probably rental properties. So if you have a course to recommend, like I'm open to learn.
A course? Are you familiar with Bigger Pockets?
Yes, I saw their videos on YouTube.
They have a good podcast. I mean, that's probably a really good place to learn a lot for free. To be honest, they have some good books and stuff you can buy as well, and then they have, obviously their subscription or their paid services on their website. But that'd be a really good resource. Have you read any other books at all about investing?
Yeah, I read One Rent at a Time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually the only book that I read, and then I followed that Mark Zuber's course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still figuring out what market is around the Central Virginia area is best to invest in rental properties.
Mhm.
Because like the course that I follow, the author asks us to like choose a zip code and just learn, very focused on that one area. But my mind is like, I don't know about the Central Virginia. I'm from California, by the way. I just moved here for a year. Yeah. So, like, what are your opinion? Like, what is the best area to start?
That's a good question. So, there's kind of different ways of looking at it. I mean, if you're looking at just straight cash flow, Waynesboro and Stanton are probably going to be a little bit better. You can usually buy, if you look at Bigger Pockets, the 1% rule, you're usually closer to that in Stanton and in Waynesboro. It's getting probably harder now. I haven't run as many numbers as of late in those markets, but there's also more multifamilies in Stanton particularly. So that's a good place to look. Too much further than that, I don't really go. So I know that it's more expensive in Charlottesville. I know Harrisonburg is very difficult to get a good cash flowing property at the 1% rule. I think that's like almost impossible. Mm-hmm. And I think in Charlottesville it's even harder. So that might not be the way to go. But those markets also have things going for them. Like there's a lot of job security. There's a lot of rental security. There's, students coming. There's good jobs. Those are the kind of the reasons that maybe the prices are a little bit higher versus the rent you can get, the ratios between the two. So I would say it depends on your goals. Mm. Devin, do you have a suggestion on where you like to invest?
Where do you live now?
I live in Waynesboro, but I work in Charlottesville, so I'm most familiar with those cities.
I would probably try to find something to start out with. If you don't have any rental units now, would be to start in Waynesboro and try to find a deal there, because if you're just learning the ropes of being a landlord and taking care of property, you kind of want to be able to keep an eye on it until you get the hang of it, and all the things that can come up and the problems that you may run into. And then as you feel more comfortable, you can then branch out from there if you want to. But I probably wouldn't recommend to start out with getting a rental unit in another state or another far away outside of maybe an hour. from your home. You might try Charlottesville if that's where you're working. That might be another option, but maybe something in between Charlottesville and Waynesboro, keep it in that corridor.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I want to say bye.
Thanks
I'm
for
sorry
joining
to
us.
interrupt you guys.
Thanks, Chris.
Of course,
Good luck.
I love today's conversation. I really do. Like we didn't get to talk too much, and I know I'm leaving a little bit early, but I did enjoy speaking with each one of you guys. I didn't speak as much with you, Tree, but Devin, Matthias, Tree. I got to go. It was great seeing you.
Chris, sign up on the harrisonburg.rei.com. Sign up for our newsletter, and that will be, you can get posted for new events and look at the past ones there.
Okay. I'm gonna put my email in here. Send me an email.
Yeah, do that.
This is my real estate email. It says VA Realty, but I'm not a realtor. Just bargain with me.
Full disclosure.
Full disclosure. Got to. When in doubt, disclose. That's something I got. You should look up this guy. I'm gonna put his name in there too. His name's Zach Keeps. He owns 250 rental properties. Super smart guy. In Scottsdale and Phoenix, but he's super smart. Zach Keeps on YouTube.
Awesome.
All right, brothers. Peace
Thank
out.
you. See ya. Trey, have you thought about doing some sort of house hack? Are you familiar with that term?
I think I learned about that too late now that I own my first home.
Oh, you own, okay. Does your house, do you think your house could be a good rental in the future?
It's an HOA. It's a townhome.
Okay.
It's not good for renting, I guess. It's a little bit pricey for renting out.
Okay. Well, I mean, time could change that, and a townhouse certainly could be a good thing to rent in the future, whether you want to do that right now or not. But using what you can buy as a primary residency to your advantage is a really good way to leverage more. I don't know what kind of down payment you did, but obviously you can do lower down payments when it's your primary residency. Looking to buy a duplex in Stanton or somewhere, or a bigger one, you could also move into that and get a lower down payment and then rent out the rest of the rooms and cover the mortgage. That might make that kind of move might even make renting out your townhouse more viable because you then would have that many doors. So again, that's not the only way. You can certainly, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but I would get familiar with analyzing properties, and I would look at what's available in the different markets and try to figure out what kind of return you can get. And I think Devin's right. I think you have some good opportunity in Waynesboro and Stanton. You might as well look there to start, and because I think that's you're going to find much better rate of return than Charlottesville.
There's been a lot of rental units popped up in Stanton in the last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah,
They've been on our MLS too. So
there's like
they're all pending right now.
there was like a whole portfolio of them. I didn't see if that's still available, but there was like 5 or plus that were being sold together for like $1 million plus. But
also too, you want to find a way to view properties that come up on MLS, and because there's stuff that does come up. There are rental properties that do come up from time to time that are interesting. That could be possibilities if you got the money and the time and want to take care of it and do it. There was one a week ago that if I was younger, I would have bid on that in a heartbeat. I probably would have called the guy and said, I'll buy it, and I wouldn't even look at it.
which one?
It was Madison Manor. There was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath over there. They wanted $99 for it.
I showed that.
That thing was probably worth more than that. That wasn't yours, was it?
It wasn't mine, no, but I showed it to a couple people.
That thing was worth more than $99.
Pretty cool property with this. You get a condo with a wood fireplace. I mean, where do you see that?
Fireplace doesn't work.
Yeah, it still got the charm.
Yeah. It's got,
Um,
I mean, they're over 1,000 square feet. That thing would, the 3-bedroom probably rent for right around 1,000, maybe 1,100 at the most.
yeah.
It's like, so there's your 1%, although they do have an HOA fee that's pushing almost 200.
Where's that property located?
It's
Madison Manor, it's in Harrisonburg.
Harrisonburg, yeah. Tree, what type of financing would you, are you actively looking to buy something? Or are you in the kind of like, I'm going to prep, I'm going to learn, and then I'll be ready? Well, like what kind of financing stuff are you looking to get into?
Yeah, right now I have around $13,000 in my bank account, and probably not enough for a 20% down.
Sure.
So I will wait until I have enough and then just take a conventional loan because I don't know better. I think we'll just start with that.
Well, it's also pretty safe. So I mean, like, I think I don't discourage people from starting like the traditional, like the most safe and known route. There are certainly other options like the hard money and that kind of stuff. Not to discourage you from that either, but I don't think there's anything wrong with starting there. There is a guy that attends our meetups a lot. That is a property manager in Waynesboro. He might be a good contact to reach out to. Bill Russell is his name.
Yeah, he's been coming to some.
Hold on. I'll get you his website, because I mean, like your fastest track, if that's your main goal. Like, did you just buy your townhouse?
Yeah.
So you're probably not like looking to sell it, right? Or to rent it, right?
No.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say that's probably your fastest move, is because you could get like a 5% down payment on something else. But
because I bought this house and my parents also live here, so
sure.
a good situation to rent out.
Sure. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, then I would just I would just keep saving. And like I said, you can get as little as 15%, but the rates will be higher.
15%? What is that? Oh, the down payment.
Down payment, yeah.
I've got another strategy for him.
Mhm.
Another strategy would be is to find another rental property that he would want to live in, and then move to that one and then rent out the one he's in.
Right.
And then do the same thing in another year, do another one and another one. As long as the banks don't jump at you and get away with it. You don't have to put down as much money either.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's so Tree, that's the strategy that most people wish they could do. So they're like, as a married man with kids, I sometimes look at people that have a little bit more mobility with envy, and think that, bouncing around is the ultimate way to get a portfolio together.
But he might be able to buy a duplex and then move into one side if he's taking, if he needs to have his parents come with him, he's supporting them in some way, bring them along with him, and then rent out the townhouse he's in now. If he can get it, at least enough to cover his mortgage and maybe, $100-$200 extra, cash flow, then it might be a good method for him to do.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Right. Yeah. That might be possible because my parents haven't owned home before, so they will be considered first-time home buyer, and they can do something like that.
Well, even if you're not a first-time home buyer, you can still do like a 5% down on a new
primary.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you might not be able to get into a 3% down or do a VHDA. But even if it's not your first home, you don't have to do 20% down. You can still move to a 5% down home.
Well, but if you do the 3%, you will have to pay the insurance.
PMI. Yep.
Right.
So if you get
a better way because it's faster.
Say that again.
But having less down payment is still better because we can move faster.
Yeah. Okay. So if you get into the technical stuff about it, I would say go conventional. Go to the minimum conventional mortgage. So if you're doing a 5% down conventional mortgage, that PMI will drop off when you get to the 80-20 split. And that can be done. So once you own, once you've paid off 20% of the value,
Oh,
that PMI will drop off,
okay.
even though you didn't start there. So conventional is a really good program for that. So if you could do that either by paying it down faster, if you reach that amount more quickly, then you can send them a letter than what's scheduled by the amortization schedule. You can send them a letter saying, hey, look, I've reached that point. Can we remove the PMI?
Wow. Didn't know that.
If you don't do that way, you can also get an appraisal. I mean, like right now, houses are going up like 11+% a year. So I mean, if you think that you can get an appraisal that is going to make your house valued higher than what you bought it for, that could be another route to getting rid of that PMI. And if you're doing conventional, it's not going to be near as expensive as like FHA. FHA is going to be a lot more costly PMI, and that never drops off. So saving up enough for down payment, for 5% conventional and the closing costs, could be a good opportunity there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get more complicated. Like you could go as far as wanting to buy a BRRRR. Have you heard of those?
Yes. Renovate, buy, renovate, refinance, repeat.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's another thing you could look at. I mean, that would likely require you get hard money. But if the numbers all work out, you can, basically have no money in that deal at all at the end of the day. If you can do you can buy it, you can rehab it, and then you can refinance it without and be able to pull everything out because the value you put into it is now much higher.
And
that's certainly another option.
You can get, if you go bigger and go like multi-units, you can go up to 4 units on a conventional loan. Anything over that is a commercial loan, and it has a whole different set of problems or scenarios. But everything up 1 to 4 is all conventional. And let's say you were going to move into one of them and rent the other 3 out, or they were already rented. The banks will usually give you, I don't know, they'll probably give you at least a 70% credit of that rental income. I think that's still the going rate.
Yeah, if you have a signed lease with a deposit and everything, you get, I think, 75%.
So it counts towards income and to qualify for the loan, which is a good thing. But keep in mind, you got to. But the thing is, if you get over 5, I don't know if Mateus will back me up on this, but if you start getting way over 5, it gets easier to get loans because you're going to commercial loans, and it's a different ball game. And they'll only loan you money based on the income of the property. And it might praise for X number of dollars. Doesn't make any difference to them as long as it can support the loan and has the income coming in. That's what they're going to value the property at.
Right. You start getting into portfolio loans and those kind of things. So, but I mean, ultimately, I think from where you're at, like, I think that, a good strategy is to use your ability to buy lower down payment stuff. I mean, if you want to save up, that's certainly, there's a ton of people that do that. But the best interest rate is going to be 25%. It's still going to be worse than if it was your primary. That's another thing to keep in mind. Like if you buy as a primary, you're going to have a much better interest rate than if you buy as a investment. And if you buy as an investment right now, that's also been very, they've kind of made the interest rates a lot higher for investment properties because a lot of people were taking advantage of the low interest.
What's the difference now, Mateus, on the from a residential to an investor property now?
I can't tell you exactly.
When I started out, it was like 0.25%.
No, it's a lot more than that. Like I'm talking about like 3% to like 4.75, like difference.
That much. Okay.
That could have changed, but that's the kind of difference that was that they recently tightened that up. So
that seems ridiculous. Because it used to be if the going rate was like 4%, for residential, you paid like 4.25. That's when I started out.
Well, and that's how it was. And so with these extremely low interest rates, there was a ton of investor interest, right? People were being able to buy a lot of investment properties, and there's just a lot of cash right now, right? I mean, there's so people were buying a lot of investment properties, and I think they made a decision. The powers that be made a decision to make it harder for investors, so that there's not. I think they're trying to prevent people getting over leveraged and becoming bankrupt, et cetera. So that's a recent change. Another that could change again. I mean, that's not something that's always going to be that way, but keep that in mind when you're looking to plan for the next move. But yeah, Tree, are you gonna sign up for our newsletter? Are you gonna join?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that like a group that I can discuss on deal or receive news about the area?
The only thing that we do is send out letters or emails about the future events.
Future events.
So you are welcome to join our Facebook group if you want to ask questions. And so it's just Harrisonburg REI. Definitely welcome to do that. Chase is again more of an investor than I am, and he has a wealth of knowledge. He's a really smart guy, so he could be a good guy to connect with as well.
You send out a newsletter, don't you?
Yes.
Property values and sales and that sort of thing.
Typically, yeah, I will send out a monthly market report for Harrisonburg and Rockingham.
Thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I haven't gotten the one out this month yet because things are crazy. I'm ready for a vacation, but mid-K when the sun shines, right?
Hey, if you're your age, I'd be going as fast as hard as I could while you can.
I'm ready to get to the to your stage where I'm just gonna more passive invest.
Yeah, I was going to tell that to Chris, but I didn't want to open that can of worms.
I
wish there was more people on this calls and stuff like that were interested. There's one guy, I can't remember his name. He was on one of the conversations one time, and he's probably in my pretty much equivalent to what I'm doing. And
I remember a couple guys in the when we were meeting up in person too.
He's never been. All the times I've come in person, I've never seen him there.
Oh, okay.
He was only one time on the webinars. One time I saw him. He didn't even have his picture up. He just had his name. He was probably just listening. Didn't say a word.
Yeah. Well, we've had some people join from all over the country. I guess that's what happens with the internet, right? It's great.
Oh, this guy lives in Harrisonburg.
Okay.
He's done syndications and some other stuff. So,
but I got your email, Tree. You have mine. So definitely reach out if you want to. Go to Harris. I'll type it in the chat, but use that resource as well. Look at the past meetups that we've had, and I think with that we can call it a night.
Okay.
Unless you have any other questions.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Next week should be interesting too. You should get a new perspective, a person who's buying multifamilies. So it should be a good one.
Who is that coming? Or can you see?
It is Cassidy Burns.
Where's that person from?
I can't remember where he's from. Chase's contact, but he is buying in. I think he's bought or is in the process of buying in Harrisonburg area.
Is this the one that bought down on Main Street? There was a 17 unit.
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
I think they're by the Catholic Church. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Be interesting to hear that study.
Yeah. For sure. So that should be a really good one. Hopefully we'll see you all there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks again.
Yeah. You guys have a good night.
All right. We'll see you.
See you.